Hi everyone, we are going to look at the task 3, which is our language study, and we're going to look at the focus question based on interviews, which is how does the use of language determine the success of an interview? Meaning, if we have good language, does that make the interview go well? And when we have bad language, how does that make the interview go badly? Alright, so how we're going to go about it? We are going to investigate types of interviews. We're going to look at the purpose and the language in interviews, and we're going to look at the identifying features. We'll look at developing evaluative language, so talking about how well something happened. Was it good? Was it effective? Did it work? And why? We're going to look at quoting and referencing, so you'll need to be using quotes, you'll need to be referencing through a bibliography like we have done before, and we'll be doing some of that for holiday homework practice. And you're going to look at formal language features when you are writing, and some of these are a little bit tricky. These ones I'll be putting up some examples of videos and help during the holidays. All right, and then you're going to complete your individual language report according to the guide. Now, the language writing features that we will be looking at, we will go on to this a little bit later, all right, but we'll be looking at impersonal, talking about, it was clear that the interview was successful rather than I think the interview was successful. Passive voice, expanded noun phrases. So this one here is one noun phrase. A high number of inexperienced drivers who live in Adelaide. That can be replaced by they. A high number of inexperienced drivers who live in Adelaide drive to work every Sunday. I don't know why Sunday, but they drive to work every Sunday. Sorry, there's a plane landing outside. We're going to look at nominalizations, and that's going to be using words like verbs and adverbs and adjectives and translating them into nouns. For example, instead of I communicated effectively, you might say the communication was effective. It's quite complex. Don't worry, we'll be practicing some of that and learning how to do that in class and for like homework with videos and things. So you're going to be looking at using and identifying technical and sophisticated vocabulary. For example, instead of using drunk, use intoxicated. Instead of place, use location. Evaluative language, like we talked about before, effective, successful, friendly, things to talk about whether something worked well or not. Our linking words, our conjunctions, however, although on the other hand, therefore, and we're looking obviously for our very academic ones, and also looking at sentence structure, compound sentences, complex, and foregrounding. Now, compound and complex, I will talk through a little bit in videos and also in class. So these language features we will be doing in class and also for video homework. Take a look at this. This is the big one. Maximum 1,500 words written, or also 9 minutes of speaking. This means it's going to be really, really full on. We are going to need to be really careful. At this stage, this is what I've got planned for the draft due, which is going to give us a month of class time plus homework practice, and also then we've got an extra week for the final. The more that you can get done and prepare in your holidays, the better. We'll see what you're able to do when we get back next term. Okay. The last thing that we'll talk about in this video is the suggested structure for the report. Later, I will do another video where I talk about the performance standards and the things that you need to do. As you can see here, we've got an introduction, we've got a body or the middle section here. No, not that. The body here. And then we've got a conclusion for our report. We will be using headings. So subsections will have headings each. So for the introduction, you need to tell us what the question is. You need to talk about the context, the audience, and the purpose. Now, if you're looking at your research project interview, you're going to need to give us the understanding of what's going on in your research project. What's your topic? Who are you interviewing? Why? And then you'll need to describe the language resources that you're talking about. So not only your own interview, but also the other resources that we're looking at in EAL class to talk about how language works in regards to having a good interview. Now, all of these sections, the A, B, and C, are pretty much the same. You discuss how the language did something. You then compare with the information that you found about how to have a good interview, and then you show examples of whatever you have found, whether it's in your own work or whether it's in other things. For example, if you're saying that you need to have good body language to have a good interview, where is your example of good body language making a good interview or bad body language making a bad interview? All right, and your three main sections: language used to establish relationship. Before you actually start the interview, what do you do to try and have a good relationship with the person that you're talking to? Things like being polite, like using formal writing. Language used to get information in the interview, and that includes planned questions that you deliberately want to ask and unplanned questions or your follow-up questions. So things like, I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I didn't hear you. Would you be able to spell that for me? I don't really understand. Could you explain that a bit more? So you said that you think it's good. Can you tell me more about why you think it's good? Okay, and in your conclusion, you summarize the main points. So what did you learn overall? You answer the question, how does it determine, or how does language determine the success of an interview? And then you talk about what language features are most important and that you need to have a good interview. Okay, I'll put up another video later talking about the performance standards and the things that you need to do. Enjoy.